Welcome to today's episode of The Joy of Editing. In this tutorial, I will guide you through the process of obtaining and effectively organizing free Adobe stock images that will enhance your Photoshop projects, from sky replacements to adding captivating textures or even incorporating birds into your scenery. The possibilities are endless. Stay tuned to discover how to make the most of these resources and take your creative endeavors to new heights. Thanks for joining me again today on The Joy of Editing. I'm your host, Dave Kelly, and today's kind of special and a little bit different. I talked about this in a previous tutorial a little while back about showing you how to obtain Adobe stock images and organize them, manage them in your Photoshop library. So this is going to be quite informative for you, and it'll help you to get the most out of free Adobe stock images. Now, I do want to say up front, in order to get Adobe stock images, free Adobe stock images, you have to at least have an Adobe photography plan. And my plan is like $9.99 a month, where I get 20 gigabytes of cloud storage and I get Photoshop and Lightroom. So I just wanted to point that out up front. I'm starting out here in Photoshop because it's very important that you have your library opened up here. As you can see here, I have my library stocked right here. And if I click on this, you can see here are my libraries. If you're not seeing your libraries, what you need to do is come up to Window and then make sure Libraries is checked on. Just give that a click and then your libraries will show up. And what I want you to do is create a new library. Now, I'm not going to do it here. We could do it right in Photoshop. We could click on Create New Library and give a library a name and create a new one. I'm going to click Cancel here, because what I want you to do is come up to your Creative Cloud icon and click that. That'll open up your Creative Cloud. And what I want you to do is click on Stock and Marketplace. Now, this is very important. Across the top here, this menu, you see right here where it says Free, make sure you click on Free, because this is where you're going to find all the free stock images, vectors, and all that kind of stuff right here. And there's a search bar right here, and you'll notice here it says free. There's a drop down. If I click it, we can do images, videos, audio. There's even audio here, templates, but we want free because I don't want to pay for this. But if you need to pay for stock images, you could do that as well. They have plans that you could get Adobe stock images that you'll pay for. But what I'm showing you today is absolutely free for you. But what's really going to be nice is you're going to be able to access these images right from within Photoshop, from the libraries, which will really make things quick and easy for you. We're going to start out by creating a library for our free stock images. So here's what I want you to do. Type anything into the search field. And again, we're only going to be looking at free stuff. So let's just type in people. It doesn't matter what you type in here. I'm just going to type in people and type my return key. And then I'm going to click on any image. And you can see this is the image I used in my thumbnail. I want to add this image to my library. So all I need to do is click on License. And when I do, you notice up here it says Saving to Default Library Adjustments, which is not what I want. So I'm going to click on Manage. And when I do that, this is very important up here. See right here where it says Auto Save Licensed Assets to Default Library. You want to have this checked on. But I recommend that you do not have Auto Download Licensed Assets checked on, because if you do, anytime you save an image to your library, it will download it to your computer, and that could take up a lot of space. So what I'm trying to do is save you space. So uncheck this. I'm going to call mine Free Stock Images. Okay, so we're going to put them in Free Stock Images, and we're going to click OK. And that creates a library. Now you'll notice it says Moving to Default Library, and that default library will be Free Stock Images. Anytime you click on License Image, it will go into that Free Stock Image library. And now I can X out of here. And now I'm in Photoshop because I want to show you. You notice now I have a new library called Free Stock Images. And if I click on this, there's my photo right there that I added to that library. So now I can access this if I needed it. Now I could right click on this image and click Edit. It'll open up a new tab in Photoshop and you can see there's that image right there. Okay, so I could work on this image, do whatever I wanted with it, or I could just click the X and not save it. Or I could add it to this document. I don't know why I'd want to do that, but I could right click on here, and you have a couple different options here. You can place a linked file, and a linked file basically is like, think Smart Object. It's really not being saved to this file. It's actually coming from the internet, from the Adobe Stock Images, which is a free stock image for you. So if I click this, you'll notice there it is right there, and you see the little cloud icon. That's denoting that it is it's a Smart Object thumbnail, but it's coming from the cloud. In other words, when I save out this file, any linked images like this will not actually be saved. When I open up the file, it'll go and grab those images off the Adobe Cloud. So in other words, they do not get saved into the file. Whenever you open the file, they will just automatically come into that file. Now, the nice thing about a link file, it's a Smart Object, meaning you could go ahead and resize it small, large. It will never deteriorate. And I'll show you what I mean, because if I were to right-click on here and click on Place Layers, now I'm going to get a message up here saying my profiles are mismatched, but I'm not really worried about that. I'm just going to click OK. And there's that image right there. Okay, so I'm going to do a Command or Control T to get my transform box here, and then I could go ahead and transform this image. I'm going to make this image very small, and I'll show you what I mean. So I'll make it really, really tiny, and I'll just type my return key. And now I'll do another Command or Control T again, and what I want to do is upsize this image. And when I upsize it, I want you to notice something. When I upsize it, you see how pixelated and ugly it looks. That's because it's not a Smart Object. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete this. This is another reason why I like to use a linked file. So let me go ahead and just click on my trash can and delete this. And I'll do the same thing with this Smart Object. I'll do a Command or Control T and make it very small. And what if I don't want to do that. And what if I decided, okay, I want to go ahead and that's way too small. I need to make it larger. So I'll do another Command or Control T, and I'll go ahead and now I'll make it larger. And now you'll notice when I make it larger, it doesn't get all pixelated and funky looking. Okay, so that's one of the cool things about resizing a Smart Object. The file will not lose its integrity when you make it smaller and then decide to make it larger. So that's a cool point. And then, of course, the other nice thing about a linked file is when you save out your document, those linked files do not get saved into the document. So your document will actually be a smaller size document. And then when you open that document back up, your document will reach out to the Creative Cloud and those images will come back in. So it saves you some space. But again, you just right click on the file you want to import, and you can either choose Place Linked or Place Layers. It's totally up to you. I don't really need this image, so I'm just going to go ahead and make this layer active and click on the trash can and get rid of that. And I actually don't even want this image. So if you ever want to delete an image from your stock images, just right click on it and click on delete and it'll be gone. And now there's nothing in my library. Now let's go back to the Creative Cloud. Let me click on my Creative Cloud icon. Make sure I'm in Stock and Marketplace and I'm on free. And now let's say I'm a landscape photographer and every now and then I need to do a sky replacement. So I would like to build myself a nice library of free stock sky images. You know, I may want sunset images. I may want just blue skies with some clouds, and I want to search for some images. So I'm going to double click people and type in skies, and then I'll type my return key. And now you'll notice it says skies up here. We're in free. And we see a bunch of skies in here. But I want you to notice over here on the left-hand side, see where it says filters? We could go ahead and filter our search to help us narrow down the search to find what we actually want. Now let's start with the asset type. Right now you notice it's on images, and that's what I want. Or I could click all, which would be videos, templates, whatever. But I just want images. And then we have a subcategory. Right now it's on all, but I want realistic photographic skies, so let's click on photos. And notice right now, over here it says images, and now you see photos, and I could click clear all to clear this out and start afresh. But right now I have images and photos, so we're off to a good start. And then we could keep coming down here. Undiscovered. Now, if you don't know what undiscovered is, you could click this I information circle, and it'll tell you undiscovered assets. Use this filter to view content that has never been downloaded by anyone on Adobe Stock. Okay, so you can read all about that. Okay, so I don't really care about that. Then you have artists. I don't really use this one, but if we click on the information here, we can see this filter shows content created by artists in your country. It can be helpful in finding culturally specific assets or a way to promote the work of local artists. Okay, that's all well and good, but I don't really care about that so much. And then we have background. We can do transparent or isolated assets. Not going to really worry about that at this point. I'm just looking for some skies. But this is a cool one, orientation. Right now I have all. But we could break it down. What if I only wanted horizontal crops or vertical crops or square crops or panoramic crops? So we could filter it. So let's say I just want horizontal crops. So let's click on this. And now you'll notice all my crops are only horizontal. And if I scroll through here, you can see there's tons of skies here. But if I come the whole way down to the very bottom, you'll notice I have 100 pages of free skies. So that's pretty cool. And so I can look through these. And then let's say, for instance, I find a sky I like. So like this sky right here, and you notice it says free. If I click license, now if we look up here, it says saving to default library, which is free stock images. So cool, I have one sky, and then I may say I like this sky right here, so let's go ahead and click license. We'll license that sky, and we can scroll through here and say, well, let's go to another page. I'll click this arrow to go to the next page, and now we can look here and see if there's anything in here that we like. And I don't know, maybe this one right here, so let's license this one. And now you see it's saved to the default library. So we could keep going like this and just build ourselves up a nice collection of skies. Now, what if we want sunset skies? So we can come up here, and in front of skies, I'll type sunset. So now I have sunset skies, and I'll click the search again, and now it's only going to find sunset skies. Now we could come over here on the filter section on the left-hand side here. And right here, see where it says people, it says all. We can exclude people by clicking this circle. And now it's excluding any images with people in them. And also, it's filtering out by sunset skies only. We can also filter by color, vivid color. There's a drop down. And, you know, if I drag this slider to the left to low, you'll see we get some black and white skies in here. So we have different choices here. It defaults right here in the center. So there's that. And then we can select our own custom sizes if we want to. And we could look for certain color of skies here. Right now it says none, but if you click this, a color picker comes up. So we can select what type of a color in our sky that we want. So that's nice too. And under safe search, it's enabled by default. So whatever Adobe deems as a safe image, that is what will show up, but you could toggle that off if you wanted to. But let's find a sunset sky that we like. Say we like this one here, so we'll click on license. And now that's saved to the default library. And how about this one right here? We'll license this one. And so you could just go through here, and let's get this one as well. So let me click license. And now I'll go back to Photoshop. And now we're back in Photoshop, and you can see inside of my free stock images, there are my skies. Now this is cool. See this button right down here? You can click on New Group. We can type in Sunset Skies. Okay, and then I can drag my sunset skies up into this group here and keep more organization here. And then I could make another group, and let's call this group Blue Skies. And now I can drag these assets up into here. And so I can keep things organized. So then if I go out of stock images, I'll just click this back button here. Let's click on free stock images. And you can see I have two groups here. I have sunset skies and I have blue skies. So we can keep things organized, and that's a nice feature. Now to close your library, just click on this button here and it closes the libraries. But say for instance I wanted to replace the sky. I'll go ahead and open up my library and go to free stock images. And if you're not there, just look for free stock images, click on that. And let's say I want to replace it with this sky right here. So I'm going to right click and go place linked. And when I do, you'll see it's right there. Now I want to drag this below like that. Now I'm going to click on this top layer. Now I saved a sky replacement channel out here. And if I command or control click on this sky replacement channel, it will load that up as a selection. And then if I click this mask icon, now you can see I have a mask here and my sky is replaced. Now I'm using my move tool and I could drag this sky layer up. And now I can do a command or control T and then my transform box comes up. And then I could go ahead and resize it, whatever I want to do with it, just like that. And once I'm happy with the size and the position, I can either click the check or just type my return key to accept that transformation. Now, by no means is this a sky replacement tutorial, but I just want to show you I could come down to the adjustment layers and click on curves and just pull up in the midtones a little bit and lighten that up just to make it fit a little bit better. I just have a couple more things to show you and we will be done. Something I, as a photographer and photo editor, like to work with is textures. I like to add a nice textured feel to certain images to give them an artistic feel. And if you're into textures, you're going to love Adobe Stock because they have a lot of great textures. So what you can do is come back up to the Creative Cloud icon, click on that, and this time I'm going to type in, let's just say, concrete textures. And I'll type my return key and see what we get. So we're going to get a bunch of free concrete textures here. And again, when you get one that you like, just click on license. Like I like this one. Let's click on license. And then let's say I want to get a bunch that are in the vertical format. So let's click on vertical. And now it's only going to be finding the vertical textures, okay? And remember, you can filter through and like exclude people and do all that different stuff. But let's say I like this one here. So let's license that one. And, oh, here's a cool texture right here. Let me license this one. And now let me go to horizontal. Right now I'm choosing horizontal and vertical. And say I like this one right here. So let's go ahead and license this one. And I'll do one more. And let's say, how about this one? I'll click on license. And now let's go back to Photoshop and see what I've got. Okay, I'm back in Photoshop. And you'll notice these say not grouped. Okay. We can leave them ungrouped if we want, but let's go ahead and click this icon and add a new group, and let's call this one textures. Okay, and let's see, if I click on the first one and hold my shift key down and click on the last one, it selects them all. So I can drag these all up into here, and now I have a texture group. Okay, so and then you can shut these groups like this. So there's my sunset skies, and my blue skies are inside of there, which I really don't want. So let me see if I can drag this up and out of here and place it right above sunset. And yes, I can. So I just taught myself something right there. Okay. So now let me collapse this group and this group. So now I have textures, blue skies, and sunset skies. Let me click on textures. Click right here. Open that up. And then simply right click here and click on place linked. And there's that texture, but I don't want it in the sky, so I'm just going to click and drag it up above the top layer. And there it is. Now, I can do a Command or Control T and resize this like so. Just pull the left and the right side over, just like that. I think that'll be good. And I can either click this check or type my return key. Now, of course, that doesn't look good. You know, I could take the opacity and pull it back. Again, this is not a texture video either, but I'm just showing you real quick here how I would work with the texture. And then I could change this blend mode to something like, say, overlay or soft light. Let's do soft light. And there's that texture there. As I said, it adds an artistic feel to the image. Now, that's not the right texture for this image, nor would I probably use a texture in this image, but I just wanted to show you what I may do with the texture. I really like textures for flower images. Well, there you go. Now you know a lot about the stock and marketplace and free Adobe Stock images and how to put those in your library, how to categorize them into groups. So hopefully you learned a lot today. If you enjoyed this tutorial today, please give it a like and share it with your friends. And if you're not yet a subscriber to my channel, please subscribe, click that bell notification icon, and then every time I upload a new tutorial, you'll get a notification about it. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me today in the Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly, and I will see you all right here next time. But until then, happy editing!